Hello, good day to you. It's Clive Maund here at clivemaund.com. Yesterday on the website we looked at a stock, a silver stock called SVE.V Resources. And the reason for this video is because I want to kind of talk around the subject, because this is really a very attractive silver stock for investors. We'll start by looking at the 20-year chart. The reason for this time frame, even though SVE.V actually started trading in 2008, the reason for using a 20-year chart is that it gets the writing out from under the stats on the left-hand side of the chart. On the 20-year chart, we can see that between it starting trading in 2008, excuse me, looking down at the chart, it started trading in 2008, then it fell hard and it formed a massive bucket base, which it rocketed out of in 2016 with a truly spectacular gain. It was absolutely enormous for anyone who was fortunate enough to catch it. It rose maybe in huge multiples. But following that, it was rather like a firework or a rocket that took off, raced up into the heavens, and then came crashing back down to earth again. And looking at this 20-year chart, we can see that what has actually happened is that the stock has marked out what's called a bucket and handle formation, which is it's related to the cup and handle, but the bucket is more kind of rectangular, and it's marked out this huge bucket and handle pattern, with the handle part being a very long bear market that started in 2016 and continued right up until early last year. And on the 20-year chart, we can see that this bear market took the form of an enormous ABC three-wave correction. This now looks to be complete. And another interesting point to observe on this chart is that the huge A and C waves, the C wave descent from the high in 2021 formed a double bottom with the A wave descent that was back in 2018-19. And a huge or a large base has formed over the last 2 or 3 years, which is the second low of this huge double bottom. And this base now looks to be complete and it's ready to advance. So it's interesting to see before leaving this chart that at last, after being weak for a long time, the accumulation line has turned higher again. Now we're going to move on to a shorter term chart, just showing the basing action of the last few years. Now, looking at the 4-year chart, the 4-year chart shows the second low of the huge double bottom that we looked at on the 20-year chart, and we can see on this chart that it is comprised of a huge head and shoulders bottom, and it's quite a neat one. And this pattern now looks to be complete. And the interesting thing is that just over the past in recent months, the price has started to ascend on increased upside volume, which is the reason that this year the accumulation line has been climbing at last. So this pattern looks to be complete. Now, it will take a breakout, it will take a move above 45, which is the upper boundary of this head and shoulders base, to mark completion of the pattern. So it could take its time before it breaks out of this pattern. But the thing is that the stock is a very good value here, because it's right down, still relatively near to its lows. And as we saw on the 20-year chart, the upside potential is huge. Now, if we move on to the shorter term chart, what's interesting about SVE.V is that all 3 of its charts present clear technical patterns. If we now look onto the zoom in on via the 8-month chart, we can see that the ascent from late last year, the low late last year, has taken the form of an accelerating uptrend. And right now, following a reaction from the July highs, in July it got up to the upper boundary of this uptrend, and then it reacted back to a great entry point actually a couple of weeks ago on the lower boundary of this parabolic uptrend, and it started higher again. and it now looks ready to take off higher again, especially as the outlook for silver is so positive. And before leaving this chart, notice the marked increase in upside volume since May, which is very bullish. And a final point two final points to notice are that the moving averages are in bullish alignment, and the MACD, showing how overbought or oversold it is, has corrected back so that it's not overbought at all, really, even despite the rise of last week or so. So this is thought to be a very, very good entry point for Silver One, whose upside potential from here is really big, especially given the increasingly positive outlook for silver itself, which once silver breaks above $50, it's going to really take off, and stocks like this are going to do very well indeed. So Silver One is viewed as a great investment here. So that's all I've got to say about it for now. If you want to read the actual report on it, go to clivemorn.com. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye.